Hi folks, welcome back to another episode of Intoxicating Kitchen. Today we're going to make some homemade tomato sauce. I like to make my own, less sugar and less junk in it. So for this, we're going to get with 2 good sized onions, 6 to 10 good sized tomatoes, and 2 to 3 bunches of garlic. Depends on how much you like. We like a lot of garlic. Let's get this started with the garlic. So we're going to turn our oven on to 400 and it's going to roast for probably 20 to 30 minutes. And we'll check it. First we're going to start off getting our garlic ready. This is a garlic peeler, great, another Pampered Chef item. Just takes that skin right off there. We're going to do quite a bit of garlic. We're going to put garlic in one pan with some olive oil, probably about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. We're going to put onions in another pan and then tomatoes in the last. Like I said, this great little silicone sleeve from Pampered Chef, not sponsored, is great for peeling garlic. You just put the clove in there, press down good and hard, shake it out, and that when I press so hard, it actually cracked the piece of garlic. But the skin comes right off, just like that. Let's see if we can get another one without cracking it all into pieces. You can hear that skin. And the piece of garlic comes out just like that. Perfect. We've got our garlic all peeled. We're just going to cut the little ends off that, or if there's any bad spots. Cut them in half a little bit. Try and make them all about the same size. Some of these cloves are a little bigger than the rest. This one is definitely good size. A couple little bad spots on some of these, so we're going to get those cut off. I'm just cutting that tough end of the garlic off where it was attached to the husk. And if you want to do this not even just for spaghetti sauce or any kind of sauce, we roast garlic quite a bit just so we have it on hand. Gives it a little bit different flavor. And there you go, we have our garlic all ready, all in our pan. We're going to add about 2 tablespoons of oil to the bottom of that pan, just so it doesn't stick. Give that a nice shake, get that all nice and coated up, and it's ready to go into the oven. Up next, we'll get our onions cut up. All right, 2 pretty good sized onions. As I said, this is what I use for my sauce. You don't have to use just 2. You can use more, you can use less. Get those onions cut up into about 1-inch pieces. Get them put in our pan. I'm going to break them apart a little bit as we put them in there. Get those broke up so they all roast up and get a nice little char on them. And again, we're going to add 2 to 3 tablespoons of olive oil into the bottom of this pan, mix the onions all up, and then we're going to get our tomatoes ready. All right, there we go. Get our olive oil in there, 2, 3, 4 tablespoons, just so they get a nice coat. Shake those up just like we did our garlic, and they are ready to go into the oven with our garlic. Now we're going to get our tomatoes. 6 to 8 good sized tomatoes. We're going to cut those into chunks. Let's see, depending on the size of the tomato. They're about a 1.5 to 2-inch cube. We'll get these all cut up, put into our pan. We are cutting the front part where the stem is off, so we don't want to taste that, don't want that in our sauce. And if you notice, I'm using a rubber cutting board. When anything's got juice or meats, you want to use your rubber one. Use your bamboo cutting board for your things like your onions, your spices. And there you go, we have our tomatoes all cut up. You want to put them in a decent size deep dish because you're going to get a lot of liquid from these when they start to roast. Again, we're going to put some olive oil in that. Get those all shook up and stirred up, and then I'll meet you on the other side when we put them in the oven. Just put in the oven at 400 for 20 minutes. We're going to put those tomatoes on the roller. The tomatoes are going to take the longest. We're going to put this garlic in. It should only take about 20 minutes. It doesn't take as long to cook. And then we're going to get those onions in. They'll probably take just as long as the tomatoes, close to. But we're going to check everything after 20 minutes. All right, it's been 20 minutes. Let's see how this is looking. We're going to get them stirred up. Tomatoes are looking good. We're going to give them a stir. That garlic is looking pretty good. And so are those onions. Let's give that a nice stir. I think I'm going to put that garlic back in for about 5 minutes and it'll be perfect. You don't want it to stick to the bottom. And those onions are getting a nice char too. And those tomatoes are starting to break down. All right, guys, it's been another 5 minutes. Our garlic should be good. Look at that. All nice and roasted. We're going to set that out. Let this one cool. We're going to leave the onions in there for about another 10 minutes with the tomatoes, and we'll check them then. All right, our timer has went off. Let's check our onions. Those are looking pretty good. Got a little bit of nice brown on them. And we're gonna set those up to cool for a little bit, and we're gonna leave those tomatoes in there for about another 15 minutes. All right, guys, our tomatoes are done. We're gonna get those out. Look at those. Nice roasted tomatoes. We're gonna let this all cool, and then we're gonna put it in a big pot and use our immersion blender to mix that all up, and we'll show you. All right, so while our tomatoes, our garlic, and our onions are cooling, I've ran out to the garden, got some fresh herbs that we're gonna add in. We've got some parsley, some basil, and some oregano that we're gonna chop up and get that ready to go into our sauce. So you just kind of pull it backwards of what the stem goes, not the way it grows this way. It grows up. You're going to hold the top of it and you just pull down, and that'll take your oregano right off your stem for you. We're going to chop that up just as fine as you want. And we're probably going to do a couple tablespoons of that. Scoop that up with the back of your knife, and we're going to put it in our little dishes. Okay, then we're going to do our parsley. We're just going to pull the ends off the stems there. It doesn't hurt to use the stems though. They just add a little bit more flavor. Again, we're going to do about 2 to 3 teaspoons of that. Get it all chopped up. Now, if you don't have fresh herbs, you can always use dry. Dry, you'll want to use a little bit more because they just don't have all the oils and the flavor that the fresh does. All right, then we're going to do our basil. Just break that off of there. Stack it all up nice. I like a lot of basil in my sauce. And there you go. We have our fresh herbs to put in our sauce. All right, let's get our sauce made. Time to put the tomatoes in. Careful, they're going to splash. Oh, they smell so good. Nice and roasted. Get all that juice in there. Then we're going to add our onions. Get our onions in there. Like I said, we like a lot of flavor in our stuff, so I add quite a bit of onions and garlic that we've roasted. Get those nice roasted chunks of garlic in there. We've got all that in. We're going to add our basil that we chopped from the garden. We're going to add some parsley that we've chopped from the garden. Some oregano from the garden. About 2 to 3 teaspoons of salt. 2 to 3 teaspoons of pepper. And then the reason we do this is most sauces have a lot of sugar in it. So less sugar, less carbs when you make your own. So again, instead of sugar, I'm going to add some monk fruit, about 2 teaspoons of monk fruit in there, just to give it a little bit of taste. And then, again, in goes that immersion blender. We're going to start it on low. And again, if you don't have an immersion blender, you can use a food processor or a regular blender. We're going to get this all blended up. Now you can blend it as much as you want, depends how chunky you want your sauce. Some people like their sauce chunky. Turn that up a little bit. And there you go. Nice fresh sauce. Now some of this I'll freeze like this. Alright, so as you see, the sauce is all nice and pureed up. Like I said, do it as chunky or as smooth as you'd like. I'm also going to cook up some hamburger and mix it with half the sauce and freeze it so it's ready when I want to use it. You don't have to use hamburger. You could use chorizo, turkey, any meat you want, and mix it in with that. And that way when you're ready to do a quick meal, you get it out of the freezer, thaw it, and you're ready to go. Alright, we'd like to thank you for watching this video. Remember, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Hit that notification bell and leave your comments below. Thanks!